All right. I was up till 3. I feel like I'm on adrenaline, so I feel like a boxer ready to go into a ring. Um, it's funny. So for while we're waiting for people to come on, I was messing around with the Instagram filters, and I look way too beautiful with those filters on. That is not real, so I had to take it off. So you get the real me if you're on Instagram. Um, all right. So I'm excited. Today is a topic that I'm very passionate about. As all of us have a certain amount of finite time, right? We all have 24 hours in a day, and it's amazing. Really, if you have a business and you're an entrepreneur, the only way to really get to the next level is to really learn how to leverage your time. So today I'm going to talk about a concept called team sourcing and how that is such a critical, like that is to me the solution to leverage your time. And for so long, because it was something that I created and something that is part of the company that I founded, the center. I would always like go around it, like not just hit it straight on to really explain what team sourcing was. So I would just wanted to take this live today to really do that, to really hit team sourcing head on and explain why you need it. When I was at a convention in February, I just talked to different entrepreneurs and executives, and I just walked away feeling like this was a calling for me that I have to get this message out to everybody because the world is ready for it, the world needs it, and the solutions that everybody thinks that are out there are not helping. And I realized that a lot of people don't know what team sourcing is and how this is different than other solutions like freelancing and virtual assistants. And I want to explain why. And so in this live today, I really am just going to hit team sourcing head on, really explain what it is, explain why it's going to help you get further faster in your company, really allow you to get that freedom in your business and get you to a level of significance and contribution in the world. If you want to be able to have more time to give back into your community, to make a difference through your business, spend more time with your family, go on more hikes, whatever it is that's important to you and that time that's important to you, I want to help you get there. And to start, I first want to just really go back to how this all started and the origin story of how team sourcing evolved, because I think that's important for you to understand as we go forward into the nuts and bolts of what team sourcing are. So just so you know a little bit of background about me, my background is actually in accounting and finance, and I worked for CPA firms out of college, and just a couple years in, and I started to realize that the majority of the business owners I worked with were retired, and this was in 2006 when times were still good. They were successful in wealth, but they weren't happy. And I started to think, like, why are these businesses not happy? I love entrepreneurship. It's been in my blood since I was a little kid. And I'm like, if that's my ultimate doom to be an entrepreneur, then I might want to rethink my pathway. And so I started to think about, man, what could I do to help keep businesses passionate? And I started to realize that businesses really needed to have a purpose, and people needed to understand what their purpose was, and what the values were that were part of their company that led them along their journey, and then what their vision was for the future. And I started to always think, like, what's best for businesses? What can I do to really help businesses out? And so my first services that I thought about was like, well, what if we answer phones for businesses? Because if we're answering phones for them, then they'll have time to do these other things in their companies. And then a lot of times the front desk person is the one answering the phone. So what if we do virtual bookkeeping as well? Because the front desk person might be doing that virtual bookkeeping. And so those were the two services that we started out with at the center. And so we started doing virtual accounting work and then virtual phone answering. Technology wasn't quite there. The world wasn't quite ready for this type of model. And so after the 2008 crash, I ended up doing some traditional accounting work for about a decade. And then about 6 years ago or so, we started to relaunch the model. And I started to play with different iterations of it. And again, I always took it from the standpoint of what's best for the business owner, what's going to help solve their problems. And I never took it from the standpoint of what's going to make me the most money, because if that was the case, I could have picked a very much easier business model than this, because it's working now, but it took me over a decade to get it to where it's at. And we have this saying, like, what we do for us, we do for businesses. So as we get really good and become an expert at it, we can then do those same things for the businesses that we work with. And so there's kind of been an evolution. In 2008, around that time, I think it was actually maybe 2007, the 4-Hour Workweek book came out, and Tim Ferriss wrote it, and it was all around the concept of using virtual assistants and leveraging, again, your time to be able to work 4 hours a week. And while I have my opinions of that book, it really created a movement around virtual assistants, and that's good. I'm glad it did. Like, it really kind of springboarded that, and people looked at virtual assistants as a way to really get their time back and to leverage it. And so I was like, okay, we did phone answering, we did virtual accounting work. Like, let's get into the virtual assistant movement and start doing some of these administrative tasks for companies and maybe a little bit of marketing. And so we did. We started doing a virtual assistant model in our company, and it was great for a while. We had one client, though, that kept wanting to do more with us and go deeper with us and have us really become his back-end team and really take it all on. But the problem we quickly ran into with virtual assistants is that for one person to be an expert in all those things and to be able to do all those things well is impossible. And people don't want to do all those things anymore, like be able to, do technology over here and then write this over here. I mean, it's hard to find just a copywriter that can do copywriting well. So to be able to find one person that can do all of it really well and really deep is impossible. And so anyway, so we pretty much crumbled on his account. Let's just word it that way, because we had virtual assistants trying to do these deep things and these expert things for the business. It didn't work. And we tried, and I always wanted to separate into more pods and teams. And we started to be growing to a point where we could start to separate into more specialized teams. And so it did. It kind of jump-started us into that model. And it's something that I always longed to do, but it just reiterated to me first why the virtual assistant model is broken, or the freelance model is broken, because we need more specialized people to do different parts of a business. And so that's the first part I want to talk about, is just like the virtual assistant versus the team sourcing first. And then we'll go into some other areas a little bit deeper. So I listened to a lot of podcasts, and the reason why I'm kind of fired up is I just listened to one this morning, and it was another podcaster, an influencer, a marketer that I listen to a lot, and he's like, you need to go to freelance.com and just get one project and delegate it and get it off your plate, and that way you can start to feel that sense of relief. And I agree, like that. If that's the only reason you're using freelancers and virtual assistants for, do it, because you need to start knowing what it feels like to delegate and to start to feel that sense of relief. So if you haven't ever used Upwork or freelance, go do a project with them and just get a feel for having somebody else do it. But I want to show you a much more sophisticated way to get further faster, to streamline your company, and to really get out of the trenches, because the VA model, what we found, is not it's not sustainable from the standpoint of if you have turnover, if a VA quits or you don't like the VA, you now have to start all over again to delegate those tasks to the virtual assistant. And to me, turnover is like the worst thing for a company. The momentum gets halted. You have to pick yourself back up. You have to retrain. And it is exactly that will stop your company from getting further faster, staying ahead of the competition, staying innovative and creative. And so for that reason alone, I can't really get behind this movement that's going on, because it's not helping businesses. And I've always done everything I've built has been around the concept of helping the business owner. What is going to solve the business owner's problems, to give them more time and ultimately to get them a level of freedom in their business. And so the way we realized that, though, is we had actually two people. So we even had redundancy on this guy's account that I was talking about. And he was starting to get a little bit difficult to work with because we weren't doing a great job. So because we were failing, because we didn't have the expertise in all of those areas. And but then because he was getting more and more difficult to work with, two people on his account quit within a 2-week time period of each other. And so because of that, we ended up not having any documentation on his account, because they were all in their heads. If you think about virtual assistants, most of the knowledge is in their head. There's not usually a lot of process and flow and documentation, automation. And so that ended up crumbling that, and we ended up scrambling and doing getting more teams and diversified pods to go deeper on his account. A lot of times people will be like, I can't delegate because they'll never do as good of a job as I do. And I recently heard a friend of mine say, she's like, you just need to accept the fact that people will do just 80% of it as good as you. And if you're okay with that. And so let's just take that part, 80%. And even if they only did 80% of what you do, just think of what you could do if you put focus on, let's say you put 80% focus in the 20% that that can take your business farther than you ever thought. If I could devote 80% of my time to this one thing, I know that I'll be able to take my business to the next level. And so is it worth delegating to somebody that is 80% as good as you? I would say yes, even in that ratio. But here's the thing, so at the center, we have an amazing team, an amazing culture. And because we do so many different services and solutions for companies, we can be so strategic in what we do. And then we can really be very systematized and, again, strategic and creative with what we do. And just seeing the team and how they perform for me as a visionary, because if you're a visionary or entrepreneur or executive, they're doing the same thing for you if you were coming into the center. And so just seeing what they do for me when I have ideas and creativity, I would say they're actually 120% better than me, because I'm a creative person. I can't be an expert in development and technology. I can't be an expert in employee engagement. I can't be an expert. I love marketing, I understand it, but I don't want to go build out the funnels and the Facebook ads. I realize that these teams are actually better than I could ever be. And so I'm actually throwing out that 80% number that she used. And I would say that when you get people that are experts and good at what they do, they will be better than you ever could be. And that is, to me, when magic happens, because everybody knows their role. They know what they're supposed to do. And then then just this magic and this synergy happens. Because a lot of people are like, I still don't understand team sourcing. What is it? I want to take it from the standpoint of maybe some terminology that you can relate with. So a lot of times when people talk about time management or getting things off your to-do list, and they'll talk about automation, elimination, and delegation. And I'm talking so fast, I'm out of breath. See, I'm so excited to tell you guys about this. Okay, so let's take it from those three terms: automation, elimination, and then delegation. So let's say you're a company that's I don't quite understand how I can delegate my tasks, but let me just try it and get a sense of relief. So think of you can really choose with team sourcing how full in you want to go. You could fully automate your company with us, or you could say, hey, I just want to delegate just a project here or a task here, and just get a taste of what my freedom will feel like. And so if you're one of those that likes to just put your toe in and just see what it is, okay, do that. Just get a level of freedom. If you're somebody no, let's design this whole thing. Let's get it to where you guys are doing the 80% that's in every business. So if you think about business, about 80% of every business is the same. It needs marketing. A lot of the way the marketing is done anymore is the same, no matter if you're a Fortune 500 client or a startup. In fact, we have both of those type of clients. And I can tell you that we do it the same way, whether you're a Fortune 500 or a startup. And the reason is because the playing field has been lowered. It no longer is who can advertise the most on TV. It's no, you have to do more online marketing and brand awareness and social posts and be authentic and engage with the people buying from you. It doesn't matter if you're Fortune 500 or you're a startup. You got to do marketing the same way. And so the same thing with employee engagement. If you have one employee or two employees or 10,000 employees, they're still made up of people. People desire the same things. And so my point with that is because of that, we actually don't, we service all sizes of companies, because what we're doing is taking the enterprise level solutions and bringing them down to the small business. So we have startups all the way to Fortune 500 clients. And the thing is that, so the 80% that's the same in every business. So I'm just going to list off all the different types of services we do. And this is not all inclusive. This just gives you an idea of everything we do where you can literally outsource that. And so if you can outsource all that, just think about how much more time you will have to focus on your business and being the best in that. If you put like, if you put 80% of your effort into that, like how much farther could you be? So here's just a list of services that we offer. So first I'm going to list ones that are involved in the customer experience. So you have sales, marketing, and service and support. So service and support could be managing your support email, answering your phone calls, doing text support. I mean, it's really omni-channel. So it'd be web chat support. So that's the customer experience. And because we do all of those elements, we can work on integrating those departments together and getting them to understand like what marketing is, like service and support needs to understand what marketing is doing. And so because we're virtual too, and because we have such a good culture, we're able to integrate those departments better than you would be able to do in-house. And if you're a small business, you're probably like, I couldn't even create those departments because I can't afford it. So, and then you have employee experience. And within the employee experience, you can have training that you need help with to get done for your clients. In fact, we have a startup that literally is embracing us for all that. Like, hey, help us with our customer support, help us create our training, help us screen your employees. So we can do the HR elements. We can do the employee engagement, which is the fun stuff. We get so creative with yearbooks and display screens and break rooms, and like we have so much fun in the employee experience side. That's probably like my favorite area that we do. And so that's like we get really creative with the employee experience and really helping you out. And the cool thing with that is like you guys get to be the ones that look like you have it all together, because we just do all this stuff behind the scenes and do a lot of the busy work and the facilitation and the ideas and the creativity, but we want to give you all the credit. So these can all be ideas that you came up with that, if we came up with them, like we want to give you credit. And then we have the, so CX, EX, and then our partnership experience, our strategic partner channel. If you have affiliates or you have vendor management that you need done, or joint ventures that you need help facilitation with, we do a lot in the strategic partner channel as well. And then there's support functions that go with that. So those three elements, customer experience, employee experience, and strategic partner experience, like all three of those to me make up the human experience. And in business, our whole goal is to improve the human experience. So you need to make sure that you have all of those under control. And obviously, if you're like, hey, I'm pretty niched, our industry is pretty niched. It's pretty hard to be niched when you have to be an expert in all of those things. And so then to add to that layer, think about the supporting functions that have to support those. So accounting, fulfillment, and technology. And those are supporting functions that we have within the center as well. And that's where you can get to a level of automation in your company. If you think about, let's say you have tons of different services you're doing with us. And initially, maybe there's a lot of manual processes and people involved. But as we start to do more and more and we get really good at it, we'll be like, hey, what do you think about creating this technology that can automate this part? And then it can help lower your costs. Maybe you have a little more upfront cost to build the tech, but then it can help automate some of that where we don't have as much labor involved in it. So we're not about what's going to make us the most money and keep it chained to us. No, like we want to be creative and innovative and figure out ways to always help you and make your life easier or more efficient. So there's a post that I just saw on LinkedIn, and they talked about the two paychecks that we often get as entrepreneurs and founders for companies. And obviously the first one is the paychecks we get on a regular basis. But a lot of times as business owners, what we don't look at is how sellable our company is or what the value is of our company. And so if you think about like the risks that go into a valuation for a company, when you use a company like ours, so many of those risks decrease because if you think about how fast you can scale, I was trying to think about some other risks, but then I lost my train of thought. But as far as like the risks in your company, you think about like, do you have a recurring revenue stream? So one of the things we'll work with you on is like a value ladder. Like, do you have a revenue stream that you can work on? Do you have all your eggs in one basket for the vendors that you work with, or the customers you have, or the employees you have? And so it allows you to, if you think about if you sell your company, if you're using somebody like us, the risk of your employees quitting because you sold your company is low, because obviously we manage the employees and they're not going to quit if you sell it. So there's a lot of advantages to a buyer in that situation. So I could do a whole nother live on that separately, but so that's kind of like with team sourcing. And so we do all of these services for you. And then we align you with a coach and a facilitator, because we want you to have one point person that you work with that you can just kind of spill your guts to. We used to have it to where you had like a full team and you had to know who to go to for what. And we realized businesses they're busy. They don't have to think about it. They just want to be like, here, I need help with this. And then so what we did is we started to have that one-to-one relationship where you have somebody that you can go and delegate to, and then they can go and figure that all out. So you can work with the coach and they can get to know your vision and your pain points and your mindset and maybe things that are holding you back from letting go. And then when you do that, they have a full toolkit behind them. It was pretty opinionated with coaching for a while, because I was like, coaches have the best intentions, but they a lot of times don't have the toolkits to really solve the problems for business owners. And so that's why we implemented an in-house coaching program, so that we could align the tools with the mindset and the help there. So, all right, I've been just rambling, and I want to make sure I covered all my thoughts I wanted to cover. So I told you about the origin story, how we got started, about how you can really use team sourcing to delegate, to eliminate and automate your tasks, and how deep you want to go in. You can choose whether you want to start with the toe, and then we can start building trust with you, and you're like, okay, let's go do it all. We have a client that broke off from another one of our clients and started a startup, and because we had already built that trust, he was willing to go all in, like just jumped in the pool. It's like, let's go. And so it's cool. Like, we understand we have to build trust, but we're always one to right the wrong, and we're not perfect, but we always push for excellence. And so we will always work on becoming better and better. One of the things we do a lot of is content repurposing. We always want to make it easier for businesses to not have to do as much. And if you think about, every business now is really a media company. You have to be putting content out. You have to be being on social media and doing all these things. So the more we can repurpose your ideas and your thoughts and all of that, then the easier it is for you. So, all right. So let's see. The thing I want to do now is just leave you with a thought and a question that you can maybe ponder on. So if you were able to leverage your time, like, how much would that simplify your business and your life? And if you were able to leverage your time through team sourcing, like, what would your business look like? What would your personal life look like? And so I just want you to think and ponder on that, and ask yourself that question. If I was able to team source and even just started just with a little bit, what relief would that have for me? And you don't have to think as much. Like, that's the whole goal, is like, even if you're outsourcing to a freelancer or a virtual assistant, you still have to do all the thinking and the strategizing. Like, we manage all the project management, the strategy, the turnover, the documentation. Like, that is all in-house by us. Like, I never wanted the business owner to feel the turnover. I never wanted them to have to be the expert in everything. I mean, when you go to a car, to get your car done, the mechanic doesn't ask you, hey, how do you fix this part, or how do you want this part fixed? Like, we're expecting them to know what to do. And it's not that we don't want the visionary's mind and creative brain. Like, we obviously want to tap into that. But there's also a part where it's like, no, we want to come to you and be like, this is best practice. This is our expert, so that you don't have to think about everything. And I can tell you, as a visionary, like, now that my team does so much for me, like, I just get to reap the rewards. And I'll give you an example. So we're working on my personal brand website. So it'll be at miapaulis.com. Don't go there yet, because it's just a landing page at this point. But it was so cool, because we got the wireframe done. My graphic designer, who I work really closely with and really knows my vision now, she like cranks out this wireframe along with our marketing strategist and my publicist, and they did it all, literally. And they're like, hey, Mia, we need your approval. And so then I hop on, and literally, like, it's beautiful. Like, I had like one like picture tweak I wanted, and other than that, it was sent to get done. The WordPress site was sent to get done. It's being worked on now, and literally that's within just 2 or 3 days. We had the wireframe done, the website going, and it's just amazing when you can just not have to think about everything and really just learn to let go. And when you can let go, just think about the freedom you'll have in your business and your life, how much better your relationships will be, your family life will be, your ability to go and serve and make a difference in the world. And then if you're successful, if your business is successful, then you'll have an opportunity to give back to those that are just starting. And then the world goes around, right? And so that's what I'm passionate about. I am within 2 weeks of launching my first book, which is really, there's 9 steps really getting you from the standpoint of knowing your purpose in your business all the way to having joy and freedom in your business. And so the first book is the first 3 steps of that 9-step process. But the goal is to first get you a foundation on what's important in your business and why you do what you do, and getting you to know why you make the decisions you do so you can empower others. And again, like even if you have an outsourced team through team sourcing, you can empower them to make decisions because you have that foundational piece. So that's the first book that's coming out soon. I'm really excited. And then the second book is all about creating traction and momentum in your business. And so that will be coming out probably within the next 1 to 2 months as well. And then behind that one, we'll have the next version, which will be giving you time, money, and joy in your business, or ultimately that freedom in your business. And then you can really, if you wanted to, autopilot your business because you've really developed so much, gone through all of these steps in your company. And so I'm really excited because what we're doing is taking the typical 5 to 10 year turnaround for companies that either fail or don't exist anymore, or they're still struggling or still doing everything in their business, to less than a 1-year plan where you can start to make change in your company and ultimately have freedom in your business. So that's the ride I'm excited to take you guys on. So if you want to know when that book comes out, just go ahead and direct message me and I'll make sure we put you on the list of sending you the link when that's ready. They'll be able to download the book for a nominal fee, and then you'll be able to order the hard copy or the audio and then the hard copy as well. So stay tuned for those. All right, I hope that was clear. I'm still, I realize that team sourcing is something that people can't grasp because they're just used to either employees or virtual assistant, and that's all they know. So when the thought that there could be a virtual company that can handle all of these services and the 80% that's the same in every company is kind of hard for people to grasp. So I realize I haven't been explaining it well up to this point. I just would start going into why we do what we do and the why behind our business. And I'm like, no, people need to know what we do first to understand why we do what we do. And so I don't know if you guys still have questions, message me, because I don't even, sometimes I don't realize that I'm not explaining it clearly enough. So feel free to answer or ask me questions. So again, Mia Paulus here. I'm the founder of the center, and I'm just passionate about business. I'm passionate about finding ways to simplify your business and then ultimately your life. So thanks everyone, and I will see you on Tuesday. But I will be in the Oregon coast, so I'll be doing it from the beach. So I'm pretty excited. All right, bye everyone.